Hey, how's it going? This is Joe Walsh from the Get Out and Surf podcast. I want to make a disclaimer about this week's episode. After 44 episodes of Get Out and Surf, I really have gone out of my way to be as objective as possible and not be promotional at all. I mean, really. You're not listening to this podcast to be marketed to, and I'm not doing this podcast to sell you anything. It is true that Witches Rock Surf Camp produces this podcast, and in full disclosure, I am the founder and owner of the surf camp. But the Get Out and Surf podcast really has very little to do with the surf camp and everything to do with the passion that we all share for surfing. Since our first episode on January 4th, we've had some fun banter, we've conducted some very interesting interviews, we've traveled to faraway places, and we've covered lots of content about Costa Rica and everything else surf. But this week it's going to be a little different. After being asked over and over again, what's it like at Witches Rock? When's the best time to go? How do you get there? What else is there to do? And all of those tourist questions, I figured that at least we owed one episode to answer some of those questions. So I sat down with Shauna Mullen, Julie Javel, and Daniela Ortiz, three very lovely ladies from the Witches Rock Surf Camp reservations office, to have them help answer some of the most frequently asked questions that they get all the time from prospective travelers interested in coming to Tamarindo and Witches Rock Surf Camp. Hey, this is Joe Walsh bringing you the Get Out and Surf podcast. This is episode 44. I'm sitting with all the ladies from Witches Rock Surf Camp. I got to introduce you one by one. Daniela, bienvenidos al programa.
Muchas gracias. Estoy nerviosa. I'm really nervous right now, but
Why?
I think it's going to be fun.
All right, well, we were just like talking a minute ago. You seemed all cool.
And now I'm like,
cool as a cucumber.
Now it's for real.
Yeah, well, you know.
the live light is on. No, we don't have. We should though. We don't have.
We've also got Julie. Julie, welcome to Get Out and Surf.
Hey, boss.
And, of course, the infamous Shauna Mullen. Shauna.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you all for being here. This is actually really special because, you know, this is episode 44. We've been doing one episode every week since the beginning of the year. We stopped that radio show. We started the podcast. It was an awesome thing. I'm glad we did it. We've done a lot of shows on a lot of different things. A lot of Costa Rica content, a lot of trips around the world. And even though Witches Rock Surf Camp produces this show, really, the show has very little to do with Witches Rock Surf Camp. It's really all about getting out and surfing. It's about, no matter where you're out in the world, we all have this common thread that we share, which is riding a wave, the feeling you get. We have this surf community the world over, and things like this podcast bring us all together. So the difference this week is that we're going to talk a little bit more about Witches Rock Surf Camp, about Tamarindo, really, and about all the questions that we get all the time. Because every time I just got back from England, as we know, and you wouldn't believe how many surfers there are over there. I mean, and good surfers too. You know, the conditions, I mean, I'll admit they are not as lovely as we have here. The water's not as warm. The sun isn't as shining, and and really the wind is howling quite often, and you really have to be on it. So we are quite spoiled being here in Costa Rica.
Sure.
So, you know, as a result, it's no surprise so many people want to come here to Costa Rica on their surf trips. So it's a very well-known fact that women are better than men when it comes to a lot of things. And mostly those detail-oriented things that I always forget, you girls are so good at.
Correct.
And that's why you're in the reservations office. You're the front line here at Witches Rock. You're answering the emails. You're answering the phone calls 7 days a week. And you're setting people straight. You're answering so many of their questions. And you're letting people know if Witches Rock is really good for them, if Tamarindo is really good for them or not. So, you know, this show isn't about, hey, go to Witches Rock Surf Camp, as much as what is Tamarindo like? What's it like at the camp? And is it really a good place for you to come on your next surf trip, on your next vacation? So, you know, that's really what we're going to dig in and talk about. And, you know, we had Andrew Cotton, big wave surfer. He was on the show last week, and he wants to come down with his family. Let's just start it off there. Like, really. When is the best time to come to Costa Rica and really to Tamarindo?
My honest answer is I always tell people year-round we're very lucky. It's very consistent here. Of course, we have like different seasons, like the green season and summer, but basically like there's always really good waves to surf all around the coast. So
yeah, and you know, okay, so it's the very start of November, and all of a sudden, from just a couple days ago, October, when it was these cloudy skies and some rain showers, I feel like it just snap just changed.
Yeah.
And that kind of
Clear water, breezy air. It's
Yeah.
beautiful out there. You can feel everyone's like, summer's here, rain's kind of dropping off.
Yeah, so what we have the September and October months. Those are the 2 months really where the whole country of Costa Rica can be inundated with rain. It really can. I mean, if you're surfing, it's okay because you're wet anyways.
Exactly.
And we do get waves year round, but it's almost like as soon as you get to November, a switch is flipped. The sun stays out, the rain clouds go away, things dry up, the little purple beach flowers and the dragonflies, and that November weather starts. And it's hard to believe we're only a few weeks away from the craziness of Christmas and New Year's, right?
Right.
Yeah, I do think we're lucky here because during green season, it's not like the south of Costa Rica where it's like raining all day, every day. I feel like we get a pause in between, like maybe it's like for a few hours and then the sun comes back, like it normally makes like glassy conditions. The sunsets are beautiful, cloudy, so definitely there's like time to enjoy without the rain also. So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you go further south in Costa Rica and, definitely the southern zone and into Panama and also really on the Caribbean side, and they do get a lot more rain. Up here in Guanacaste, it's called the dry...
Gold Coast.
The Gold Coast.
The
and
Gold
also
Dry Coast,
and also like where Witches Rock technically is located, the Parque Nacional Santa Rosa, that's the largest dry rainforest in the world, which... sounds kind of weird, a dry rainforest.
Right.
Almost
Right.
oxymoron, but really it's it is rainforest, but it does really the trees lose a lot of leaves over the next few months. The rains will stop and it'll really dry out. The winds also start howling offshore up here. That's another unique characteristic.
Exactly.
I would say.
The swell might be a little smaller, but definitely the conditions are great all day, like offshore winds and sunny, and the water gets a little cold sometimes for us locals, but tourists normally don't feel it at all. So
I know, it's funny. You find yourself complaining because the offshore winds really they howl at times, and that can drop the surface temperature of the water a little bit. You just got out of the water this morning, Daniela. What were those waves like?
It was, you were saying that we are spoiled, and it's true. I have been used to like the almost whole year has been really fun and bigger. Today was really small, but it's still really fun. The weather was amazing. I mean, as you said, as soon as it was November 1st, it's like a switch, you just turn it on and now it's like perfect summer weather. The water is really warm.
The feeling that we get this time of year is like in North America when people are switching from that kind of spring to like the first summer day and everyone's out like really excited about, clear water and offshore breezes again, and it's like everyone comes out of hibernation a little bit. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, pretty much there'll probably be a couple rain showers still, even though we're into November. But typically it seems like the rain stopped in the very beginning of November, and it's going to be dry for a few months now.
Yep.
And until when?
A few 6 months, I'd say.
Yeah.
6 or 7 until probably May.
Yeah, maybe a couple April showers, but then May a little more
very
consistent.
Light,
and then June, July, August. I always say that those summer months, even though, April, May, June, July, and August, I guess that's more than summer, but really here we call it winter because it's raining.
Right.
But it really doesn't rain so much.
Right. Yeah, June will see a little bit more, but usually it's pretty mild until end of August. And then September and October is pretty consistent rain. But like Julie said, you get such good breaks. Like mornings are beautiful, and then maybe it'll cloud over, and then we'll get like an afternoon shower, downpour, and that's pretty much daily base.
It makes the condition glassy,
yeah,
and a nice sunset. But November is definitely one of my favorite time of the year. I feel like it's still green from the green season, so everything is beautiful. We get good conditions. There is less crowd. I mean, there's like the high season crowd hasn't come in yet, so you'll be able to surf like not really empty lineups, but less than like December, January, and February, where there's like more people coming, and so it's a good time.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, November really is a great local month because it's still not too crowded. It's going to be really busy here in a few weeks with the Thanksgiving week, and then by the second half of December, the town just explodes in population. Christmas and New Year's is a bit of a zoo, to be honest. So
totally.
If you want that like chill surf trip experience, you actually might want to get away from the Christmas to New Year's time frame because everyone in the entire country goes to the beach for the Christmas New Year's week. Would you say that's true?
I would say so, but I don't know. We have like seasons for everyone. Like I don't know, weeks for everyone.
Like
It's
if you
it-
like to party,
you-
Yeah,
and
sure,
If
some
you
music,
wanna
people-
then it's
like
a really
surf,
good
but
time.
then you wanna like also go out in the night, then you're gonna love Christmas and New Year's. There's a lot of people that actually want us to recommend us to come during that time of the year.
Good point. Okay, so for someone like myself that lived at the surf camp for many, many years, and literally the beach was my backyard, I
Right.
would get a little bitter after
Yeah.
a few years because you have thousands of people on the entire beach, and there's a line of cars coming in and out of town, and it's
Right.
kind of crazy. But it is actually a really fun experience if that's what you're looking for. Then it's ideal, right? And
You have to share.
Sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so there you go. It's different strokes for different folks. And
Exactly.
that's kind of what we're getting at. I should probably back up a little bit, too, because I'm not just talking to 3 intelligent young women here that work in our reservations office. You have, between you, decades of experience living here in Costa Rica. So you really... I mean, Danielle, you're from Costa Rica, so you're entire...
I mean, I've been
You're-
only living here.
No, no, I know,
30 years.
No, but okay. So, Julie, you originally you're from France, but how long have you lived in Costa Rica?
It's been 17 years, so I've been here since I was 9 years old.
Wow. Okay. And okay, now because I'm getting older and my memory started to fade, I know that you started working at Witches Rock in the surf shop. How old were you when you started working at Witches
I
Rock?
was like 14, 15, so
That's awesome.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Started in the surf shop, then did some surf lessons when I was off school or after school on the weekends, on vacations. And then I went to college for a little bit in California, but I missed this place too much, so came back, and that's when I started full-time in the front desk. And then, no, actually, I came back as an instructor, then the front desk, and now I'm in the reservation office.
And you've been in the reservations office for a while too now.
I think almost 6
6
years now.
years, yeah.
For like
Oh my
6
goodness.
years.
Yeah.
All right, and Shauna, my first, well, one of my earliest memories of you working at Witches Rock was when our front desk was literally like this little bamboo
Yep.
facaded little
Desk
literally
right next to the kitchen window where like all the grease smell wafted out.
Oh, you paint such a beautiful picture.
Oh, I know. I mean, it was pretty rustic back in the day, but amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
well,
what started off.
You
the
have to
whole-
start somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and what year was that?
So I started in 2002,
Oh my
and I
goodness.
started as like that front desk person, airport driver, pickup, surf
it all.
program scheduler. Like I was the jack of all trades at that time. And then I left for a few years and came back in 2006. So I've been back since 2006.
Wow. Okay, so
15 years.
So the only person that really has you beat at Witches Rock would be Maxie Waxy.
Maxie, I worked with Maxie in 2002. So we started together, but then I left. Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
Leo was here too.
That's right.
Yeah, Leo and Maxie.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
So obviously
Cool
there's
journey.
there's some gravitational pull with the surf camp that's keeping us all together. I mean,
For sure.
I only came down here myself at the beginning of 2001.
Right. You guys had just closed Coco.
Yeah.
So when I came.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. You were doing reservations when I was down here.
That's
you
right.
and Adam. Yeah.
Who we just hung out with
Yeah.
in England.
So
Stayed,
cool seeing them again.
Slept in his daughter's bedroom. I got the big bed, and then Nikki had to sleep in the bunk bed, little tiny pink bunk bed.
Oh, I'm picturing this right now.
Oh, he's got an amazing family, Adam
Oh,
and Amy,
so
and
lovely.
his 3 kids, and we really did have a good time.
Well, when I was just about leaving, Amy took over my job, and then Andrina, Nikki's wife, but they weren't together at the time. Also, I hired her and trained her when I was leaving. And Andrina had a different boyfriend. They worked here together. They were like the surf program massage therapists and activities coordinators. And when I left and came back, she had broken up with her boyfriend, and her and Nikki were full on. And yeah, pretty neat.
That was like
that was the start of their story.
that's amazing.
Yep.
It's so cool. So
Yeah.
so when you girls are answering these questions, you definitely have been there, done that, and you know Tamarindo inside and out. So that's it's a good sort of background. Okay, so to sum it up, really, you can have a good time coming down Tamarindo year round. Like if you're looking for the busier time of year, like maybe a little more of the party scene, then the holiday weeks like Christmas to New Year's, and then that Easter week.
Easter week.
And even like the holiday weeks in the States or in Canada? Like Thanksgiving week, I know is a busy week.
Yeah,
And,
President's Day week is but that one's more busier for I think like in February and March, those breaks, we usually tend to get more families rather than like kind of the party group. We don't get like tons of spring breakers or
yeah.
you know.
So you wouldn't say Tamarindo is a huge spring break destination?
No.
Yeah. So pretty much those winter months, maybe the waves are a little bit smaller. The summer months, May through October, you got some south swell coming in, and we're more exposed to the south, so the waves are a little bigger on average. But we do get waves year-round. The weather's pretty darn good year-round. It will really only be September and October where you get an exceptional amount of rain. And in some weeks it could be dry. Some weeks it could just be like
luck of the draw.
Hurricane Nate.
Right.
But those also the hotel is free for 2 months.
Exactly. So it's worth it. And like you said, you're wet anyways. So water temperatures are mid 80s. It's like bath water.
Yeah.
So really, it's a great time to come as well.
And I think
Anytime.
It's worth to mention that we're like the only spot in Costa Rica where it's like consistent year round. Like in the Caribbean, you won't have waves year round. Down south, the conditions are not going to be good year round. But like this part, Guanacaste and like Playa Grande is very consistent. There's always going to be waves, even when the swell is small. You'll find something fun, like chest high. Marbella is a really good spot for advanced surfers, and I think like Avellanas, like all those spots get like pretty good waves, even when there's no swell. It's fun.
You were on the surf team. I'm having these memories of when
Yeah.
we had the Witches Rock surf team.
Totally.
And
With
we were,
Luis Castro.
that's right. And we were taking all those surf trips, like
Peru.
Yeah.
Everywhere, yeah. We went all over Costa Rica. You guys sponsor us for the contest, and definitely helped a lot. We couldn't have done it, I think, without having a driver and food and the inscription being paid. I mean, I was so young at that age, and it was really fun. It definitely got me started in my surfing and
Yeah, so when people call and ask these questions, they really are going to get some good experienced answers from people that know, not just
For
weather,
sure.
not just the community, but also the surfing. And we don't have Ryan, the intern, who I guess
He's our surfing master.
yeah, I was gonna
weather
say
forecaster.
It's worth to mention him.
he's such a good surf forecaster and knows the science
Amazing.
of surfing so well
And
that
loves it.
he's the guy I talk to when I really want to know what's going on.
I think everyone.
Most
I'm
people,
always-
we usually pass them on. Now,
Yeah.
now that we have someone that's like expert at it,
Yeah.
and like
Well, he's-
going back to like talking about consistency, Ryan, yourself, you guys are all really good surfers, and Ryan thinks this area is just how would you like?
I think that's why he
perfect
came and
for
lived
his
here.
ability. Yeah,
Yeah.
he can find waves anywhere, and if someone at that ability can find waves, whether it's small and clean or big and barreling.
calls this area home. Then
He calls this area home, and he's not going anywhere. So
I'm the same way.
It's
I
pretty
mean,
amazing. Exactly.
It seems like every time I go anywhere, great experience, find some great waves, but I'm always really happy to come home, come back to Tamarindo.
That's amazing.
And like you were saying, you can get right out of town, right here, Tamarindo. It's a great beach break. The waves aren't always so massive or so powerful. We are a little sheltered from Punta San Francisco, which is that point to the south between here and Langosta, a little bit from that island. And we're facing towards the northwest, where the predominant swell direction is to the south. But then you go right up the beach, a mile north, and as Playa Grande curves, Playa Grande is facing due south. So in the summer months, on a south swell, Tamarindo might only be waist to stomach high, and you can go up to Playa Grande. It's like head high overhead sets. And then on a northwest swell, which, the exact opposite. Playa Grande might only be waist high, and Tamarindo could be head high overhead sets because we're facing that perfect direction to pick up a northwest. So, you were Daniela, you were speaking about it just a little bit ago. Maybe the waves weren't so big this morning, but it was very clean conditions, perfect for longboards, perfect for the beginning intermediate surfer, really.
Right, it was
Exactly.
opening really nice, so you can still have a little fun there. If you're like starting to learn, or if you already know how to do it, like you can still have a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of places in Costa Rica that have surf camps or do surf lessons, and they really just have whitewash to work with. And what I always tell people is this is like the perfect learn to surf wave.
Yeah.
Not too small where you're just on that whitewash and learning your pop up. You actually can move to a green wave that's not.
Yeah, not just like a big heavy beach break that closes out too, where you're on the
Exactly.
inside, where
Yeah.
it's too big to get to the outside.
It's perfect Sorry.
It's okay.
It's perfect for like to give lessons. Like
Yeah.
since I was an instructor, I think like you can go step by step with someone that's a beginner, like start in the wide water, and then when they feel confident, teach them how to turtle roll and the green waves. Like they close pretty slow. So I think it's like perfect for to go up with like levels, so you don't feel like it's too much or you get scared. You're gonna feel very confident.
Yeah, it's
in
not
Tamarindo.
overwhelming.
It's not overwhelming.
But also, as Joe mentioned, as soon as we get a north swell or in a south swell together,
Then there can be some classic days with some heavier waves. And you know what? Honestly, the best barrels of my life have been in Tamarindo.
In the
Look at that.
estuary.
Yep, exactly.
I've seen you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm telling you, when it comes to life, that is really
Right.
the best barrels I've ever had. The deepest,
That's amazing.
the best, like my best memories of the best barrels I've had right out in front of Witch's Rock, which is
That says a lot.
It does,
Exactly.
yeah.
You picked the right spot.
Yeah.
Another thing too, when we get those nice swells out front, which are great for you and getting your barrels, but our beginner surfers can just go around the bay to Capitan Suizo.
right down at the other
and-
far end of the beach.
And it's a whole different wave that's coming in because it's a lot more north facing. So
Yeah, no, okay, so something for everyone. Whether you come to Witch's Rock Surf Camp or not, Tamarindo is a great destination to make your surf trip. Not because necessarily Tamarindo is always firing, but you've got so many options, whether it's small or big. You could either surf in the bay of Tamarindo, the far end if it's huge and you're protected by the island on the point.
Right.
Or if it's not much swell, you go down to the far other end, Playa Grande, and it picks up even more swell. And then we've got all these spots outside of town too.
yeah,
So here's another question, and this is something that people maybe, I know a lot of people ask, but not everyone does, but everyone's thinking it. Is Tamarindo right for me? I know from my personal experience, I used to take a lot of surf trips to Bocas del Toro on the Caribbean side of Panama, and there's some great waves. Not so consistent, but very beautiful. It's a cool destination. And then a couple years ago, I found myself, I hadn't been there in a few years, and I went there on a trip. And then I realized like everybody was like 20 years old and partying until like 4 in the morning.
right.
And it was just pulsing like
Backpackers.
speakers. Yeah, and I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's awesome if that's what you're looking for. I was looking for some great waves in the Caribbean. I wasn't really looking to party. I wanted to go to bed early and wake up early and just surf my brains out. It kind of brings up that point that not every destination's going to be great for every person. And I know I can say, from having lived in this town for as many years, almost 20 years now, Tamarindo may not be the place for you if you are that all-inclusive resort tourist. If your expectations are so high where if they're below what you get at home or where you go at the Four Seasons, like you're not going to find that here in Tamarindo, right?
Exactly.
So let's talk about who's Tamarindo for and who is it not for.
I personally find Tamarindo has something for everyone. So there's, like we were talking earlier, there's the demographic of partiers, single people, families, couples. I mean, pretty much anyone. There's something in Tamarindo for them. That goes for the camp as well.
Yeah.
Tamarindo's like, so many people have moved here, such as ourselves, and from all over the world. So there's tons of good restaurants here. Everything's within walking distance. It's busy, but it's compact, so you can walk around and kind of enjoy the rustic feeling, because it's not like you're walking on these pedicured grass or sidewalks or anything. It's definitely like an adventure always.
We have some sidewalks, but we also have some trails, and then we have some section of road where
Right.
there's neither, right?
Right, exactly.
And
So
we do
It's
have some
always-
street lights, but we also have some areas without street lights.
Exactly.
Or we got a most beautiful beach with amazing sunsets, and the surf obviously is awesome.
Yep.
And we have tons of restaurants, tons of shopping, tons of stores. There really is a bit of an infrastructure.
And for all budgets too. Like, you can come here as a backpacker, or you can come here as a high end. You don't want to be, as you said, like that demographic where you're wanting that really high end, all inclusive kind of Four Seasons, because that you won't find. But
Yeah.
everything else,
you might be a college student that is on a bit of a budget. You might be a husband or wife that's planning a trip for you and your spouse and all of your kids. You might be an older couple that's looking to explore a new destination, never been to Costa Rica, or maybe you have, but you've never been up to the Northwest coast. We've got all types of different types of travelers, and I want to really honestly speak to all of them here, and not the surfing. It's the non-surfing activities. 'Cause I think that's how you're going to spend most of your time. You can only surf, at most. It depends on who you are. If you're Ryan, maybe
couple
it's like,
hours a day, probably.
if you're Ryan, maybe it's like 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
But even for me, like 2 sessions a day, that's quite a bit of surfing. So you spend a lot of time out of the water, and it's those non-surfing things I think really define more of your experience when you go on a surf trip. So
there's definitely something for everyone. I think the surf camp, the location of the surf camp right in the center of town is perfect. Like if you're a single traveler and you want to like surf and then maybe go party a little bit at night, the surf camp is very quiet. Like after 10 p.m. The restaurant closed, so you can get your sleep if you don't want to party, but you can also walk down the street and you'll find like some beach bars and sport bars, and it will be
open
fun.
pretty late at night,
like
too.
Open pretty late at night. If you're a family and you have the kids sleeping, you can always walk down to our little beach bar at Vaquero and get a drink. I think it's open until 12.
Yep.
There's a lot of non-surfing activities, like as a family or even single travelers. If you don't want to surf all day, you can surf your session and then go do ATV, ziplining, like the catamaran tour, snorkeling. Like there's everything to do.
There's a lot of non-surfing activities
and you also mentioned like some people like the all-inclusive or like a little more luxury maybe, because we're definitely still like a surf camp.
Sure.
We do work with other hotels down the street where you can still do your surf program with us and still enjoy that luxury and all-inclusive. So we would adapt to anyone, I feel like.
Yeah, so let's be real honest and clear here. This is the accommodations at Witches Rock Surf Camp. This is not a Four Seasons resort.
No, we're basic, no TV in the room, so you spend your time outside the room on the beach surfing or enjoying sunset, but it's basic but comfortable. You got AC, your private bathroom with hot water, so that's something.
Yeah, I think the price reflects that too. We're all about getting people to experience more, to be able to afford trips, afford taking their families, afford taking their friends, afford coming back again and again.
Exactly.
And not trying to squeeze them for every last buck on that trip. That single trip, but really turn them into a lifer, which I mean,
we have a lot of them.
We have options for all budget. Like our second location, Pueblo Dorado, it's a little cheaper, not beachfront, but right across the street from the beach, so you're still really close. If you want to be beachfront, we got the main surf camp, and then if you want something a little more luxury, like I said, we can find options for you. So
okay, so that's actually pretty good to know. Like if you want that really high-end luxury experience, you can still have that coming to Tamarindo in the surrounding areas. There are some a few resorts that you could choose from, and then Witches Rock can still provide those surfing lessons or tours, and we do it all. We definitely cater to higher-end customers, and they have great times. But then maybe outside of that, if you're not so needy, is that a way to put it?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
I mean, you cannot find the authentic surf camp experience that is provided at Witches Rock. I think that's really what we provide. The location cannot be beat. They're the closest things to the breaking waves in the entire town. So.
Everyone wants to stay on the main site, beachfront. The rooms are perfect. It's still, I feel like we've grown so much for the past years, but it's still like a small place. It's only 18 rooms, so it books up so fast. Like we definitely recommend like booking far in advance if you want to stay on the main side, but of course we always have our second location. If we book up, that's still pretty close. So.
Yeah, and we're talking a few hundred meters, like 300 meters. I live right behind there, and it's so close that anywhere else it would it wouldn't even. I mean, it is right there. Come on,
it's right there.
Tamarindo's still quite a small town too. I mean, how many people would you say live in Tamarindo
Permanently?
Yeah, I mean, like, not Villarreal or like the surrounding communities,
right,
but right
Tamarindo.
Like right here. Like,
I don't know, 3,000.
I was gonna say 3,000. About a 3,000 person town.
And then Christmas, New Year's, it probably gets to 10.
Yeah, it's true. Everybody's escaping the cold.
Yeah, the cold and also the city and vacation.
Yeah. Okay, so
I was going to say quickly, for reservations, I've worked in the reservations office for a really long time, 14 years. You know, I've been saying pretty much the same thing to people over and over again. But it doesn't feel like that because I don't feel like I'm a salesperson to our guests. I feel like we're just delivering on a promise because we know they're going to come down and have the trip of their life and keep coming back. So it doesn't feel like I have to be this real needy salesperson because it just comes naturally for,
We're more here to make like the vacation, like the planning easier.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, like feel more like a vacation planner and helping them in the process because it really, we know they're going to have an amazing time. So it's pretty special.
You mentioned how I used to work in that reservations office
Yeah.
before you, and you know that was the very first job that I held when I started Witches Rock, and it took me a long time to hand over the reins. I remember, and probably because 20 years ago the internet was pretty new still, and especially here in Costa Rica, like no one had a website. It was really hard to. I mean, we had a few payphones. We had dial-up internet. If you're lucky, it worked. We were running reservations from a payphone. And you had to wait for months to get a landline, and that was the only way to get internet.
Yeah.
And really, the reservations sort of arm of Witches Rock was developed as a way to communicate with people that were interested in coming down, but just had so many questions, and we seemed so far away.
Right.
So now you fast forward 20 years. And it's Wi-Fi everywhere, including Witches Rock. We're streaming fast Wi-Fi, the whole property. We may not have TVs in the room, but you know, doesn't mean you can't. Like, if you want to nerd out and watch Netflix, you could do that in your room.
That's on purpose, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, actually, when we first built the hotel, it was because they didn't have the money to put the TVs in. And then I realized...
then we never did it.
And I realized, too, you know, that really kind of sets the culture for the place.
Totally.
It's better that way.
It really
Families
is.
actually are present with each other.
Yeah, here's a
people are
book.
present with
This is
each
how
other.
you open it. This is how it works.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing, yeah.
But yeah, you know, it's so easy to get on your phone and book a trip on a plane ticket here and rent a car there and get your hotel on Expedia or Hotels.com or whatever. But how many places, honestly, can you call an 800 number 7 days a week from morning to night and get someone to answer the phone and talk to you for however long it takes?
And be friendly.
Exactly. Whether it's 10 minutes or 2 hours, you
Yeah.
can call up Witches Rock Surf Camp and ask every question. And if you don't end up coming to the surf camp, if you decide it's not for you, that's okay.
Exactly.
It really is.
Actually, I had someone yesterday that told me on the phone that they were so grateful that they feel that we're there like 24 hours, which it's not 24 hours, but they felt like that. So
They
it's
have the
pretty
support.
awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, we definitely, I think that's really an important sort of attribute, whether you come to the surf camp or not, to know that, you know, we've got 4 full-time people in that office answering phone calls and emails, and just trying to make sure that your experience is A+.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so getting back to Tamarindo, what else people need to know? What else is, what other questions do people get when they call you guys on the phone?
I would say probably a question would be what airport to fly into.
Smart. Because we have
Back
two.
when we started, it was only San Jose and people had to take a puddle jumper, but now people can fly right into Liberia. Most major cities have multiple flights a week coming in there.
There was a new, there's a new flight
KLM.
from Amsterdam.
Yeah,
Which
so
I'm
we
gonna,
just
I'm gonna have to
had
do
that
that one
one.
pretty soon.
Yeah. They sprayed them with fire hoses. Did you see that?
No.
They had like the fire trucks out there and were spraying the flight as it came in, like
As-
the
as
inaugural
like
one.
a celebration.
Yeah.
or not because it smelled like weed.
No.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I remember the first flight was the Atlanta Delta flight. That was the first international flight that came into Liberia. That was
Yep.
back in, I want to say, the end of 2002. Now, and going into 2020, there's more tourists that fly into Liberia than into San Jose.
That's right. Yeah.
And
totally.
and while you might still find some cheaper flights to San Jose, there's going to be a 4-hour drive, or you're going to have to take that puddle jumper
Extra
flight.
cost.
And you lose like a day of vacation.
Right.
So why not get to the beach earlier, right? Or
Yeah.
as fast as you can, then drive and lose a whole day of accommodating, driving, and all that. So
But we can always, just guide our guests and tell them like what will be the ideal option for them. You can just compare prices
Yeah, it depends on where you're
time.
coming from. If you're coming
Yeah.
from Europe, I think
Yeah,
you might have
most
more
of the time.
options flying to San Jose
Right.
still. And if
And
you're
even
coming,
Florida, like Florida seems to mostly be San Jose. I
Yeah,
think,
like
from the,
Fort Lauderdale, Miami,
Yeah.
Orlando, like the Spirit.
but that's
and,
pretty much it now in the U.S. and Canada. I would say most people are flying now to Liberia.
Yeah, well, it's quite easy because you fly into the airport there, and it's like super fast. You don't wait at all for your bags. Literally, as soon as you get to getting your passport stamped, the bags are out within 5 minutes. You're out of the airport. All of the taxistas and van drivers are there waiting for you. And Witches Rock, we have our own vans, our own drivers. They're sitting there with a sign with your name on it. But even if you come down on your own, you don't go to Witches Rock, you can rent all of the car rentals. They now have like brand new car rental offices right across the street from the airport, and it's. I mean, I don't know what other airport in the world. I've never been to one like in Liberia where you can literally. Like for me, when I go on a trip, I just drive my truck. I park it in the parking lot. It doesn't cost anything.
Exactly.
Put my key on top of my tire. I'll be gone for like 3 weeks. I'll come back, get the key.
And everyone does that.
I know. Yeah, so we still have that small town vibe, but
Yeah.
it is a first world airport. It's on the up and up.
For
I-
sure.
I think it's also worth saying that it's only an hour drive away. I don't know if we mentioned that from Tamarindo, and we do free pickup and drop off on Saturdays. So you can always, like, clients can take advantage of that. That's also how our surf program is scheduled, Saturday to Saturday. But of course, if that doesn't work for someone, we can adjust it. But
Any day of the week.
Any days
you
of
can
the
come for
week.
3 days. You can come for 3 weeks.
Yep.
You can come
Exactly.
on a Tuesday. But
Yeah.
if you can come in on a Saturday, that's when the most flights arrive and depart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it's set up at Witches Rock.
Yeah.
You know, I just came back, like I said, from England. I had a bit of a pain in the ass getting my rental car. They charged me one thing online. As soon as I got there, it was like a completely different story. It's like it was more than double to add Nikki onto the to be a secondary driver, and he ended up driving the whole time because you're on the left side of the road, and the roads are like literally 6 inches wider than a car, and I'm just like, okay, I'm over it. Nikki, you drive. Should have just had him drive. But literally, like, limited mileage. It was a pain. And I'm like, I always kind of stress out. I just don't even want to deal with it. People want to know when they come here, do you need a rental car? Because, I mean, we pick you up at the airport, we bring you to Tamarindo, and I always tell them no.
Me too. I definitely, if you're getting the pickup from the airport, once you're in town, you are basically covered.
You can walk anywhere.
You can walk anywhere. The town, I'd say you could walk the whole town about 15, 20 minutes, really.
We even have an Uber driver now.
Yeah, we've got Uber drivers.
Don't tell
One
the
driver.
don't tell the colectivos that.
Yeah, you can walk the whole town, and then if you are doing any of our intermediate or advanced programs, we have all the transportation covered for you, so you really don't have to think about much other than showing up and
take
getting
you to
your
the
board
best
waxed by Maxi Waxy and getting in our van or boat. So
And
you
if
really don't have to worry about it.
And if you do any non-surfing activities, like I mentioned before, they all pick up from the surf camp. So it's really easy, like only the catamaran, you have to walk down the beach, which is like really close
Like a
by.
10-minute walk on
Yeah,
the beach.
not
Exactly.
even.
So easy.
And any other non-surfing activities, they'll pick you up straight from the camp. So we normally don't recommend renting a car, except for like families that are going to stay in the country a little longer after witches. Then normally we do recommend renting a car. It makes it easier to go to volcano or rainy season, the rainy rainforest, I wanted to say. And yeah, so I think in town, no car needed.
Yeah, okay, so that saves like a few $100 too on your trip,
Exactly.
you know, because I'm almost everywhere. You hear my stomach there? Should I pick that? I can hear it on the microphone. Yeah. I haven't had breakfast yet. Yeah, no, everywhere I go on a trip, but you know, you add that rental car, it adds up, you know, car, gas, all that. So
And we do tell guests that, like, the problem that you had in England, that there was extra cost after, we do tell guests to be careful with that down here as well. Sometimes you see a price on internet, and then once you get here, there's insurance added to it, and so it's always we try to tell them to be clear with what agency they choose and make sure the total price includes the insurance and all that.
yeah.
Taxes.
Yeah, and if you did
taxes
want to
and-
get a car, you weren't sure, maybe at the end of your trip, you could always rent one in Tamarindo too.
Totally.
We've
That's
got-
what we tell people.
Yeah, because you don't have to get at the airport. Literally right across the street from the surf camp, there's economy rent-a-car. We also have, what, Alamo.
Alamo
Thrifty,
budget, thrifty.
European.
Okay, yeah, so you're pretty
Everything.
much
So many here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you got that covered.
Yep.
So we talked about all of the non-surfing activities you can do. Let's talk about the food too before we go, because as you can tell, my stomach's just growling.
That's all you're thinking about.
Well, you know what? After going to England, I mean, they eat like, I ate well, but it's like eat like sausage for every meal. I mean, everything's breaded. It's like sausage rolls.
oh my god, that sounds so good.
Yes.
It is until you're there for 2 weeks. And
Right.
There's nothing green. Like I
Yeah.
had to buy a head of broccoli and literally make broccoli because there's like cauliflower that you get, and they eat mushrooms for like every breakfast. Mushrooms.
Mushrooms,
It's pretty good.
interesting.
But I mean, yeah, you come to Costa Rica, there's so much fresh produce. There's so much fresh seafood. And
Smoothies and
I know, there really is. So the food is something, I've become a bit of a foodie, and I've really grown to appreciate how many options there are here in Tamarindo.
amazing.
It's not just local cuisine, which is great. You've got
Yep.
the casados, you've got the pargo plate, the red snapper, which is amazing. We've got some great local dishes, but then we have restaurants from around the world.
yeah, Argentina,
Italy, France.
everywhere. It's amazing.
There's a lot of people living like from all over the world.
Yeah,
They decided to live here.
yeah.
And they just put a place, and now they can give us their food too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're totally spoiled. And the budget, I mean, there's budgets from,
Yeah.
eating economically
Yeah, I was
up to
gonna say,
eating like
all
a fine
prices.
dish. So,
Yeah, people kind of assume that it's supposed to be cheaper. The reality is so much is imported here that
Right.
your food prices on average are pretty similar to like what the US or
Right.
Canada would be.
Yep.
But really, if anything, maybe on the lower end of average, because you can get that really inexpensive local casado plate,
totally.
and then you can get a really good lobster meal for, whatever, 20, 25 bucks.
I always
So-
say it depends on where you go, but you can eat from like $5 and up. So if you're on a budget, you'll find something cheap, and there's like cheap hamburgers or cheap casados, which is a local food. And if you want something a little nicer, like you can go to like Patagonia, the Argentinian restaurant, really good meat, or
If you're
Yes.
if you're vegan or
Sushis
vegetarian,
and-
there's also options for you.
Something
Yeah.
for
Yes.
everyone.
Yeah, so if you do come to Witches Rock Surf Camp, breakfast is included. You can pick anything off the breakfast menu, so you're not like, it's not like when I was at the
Continental.
Holiday Inn last weekend, and
Yeah.
it's just like,
No.
which was a good meal, but
Right.
if I ate it every day, I'd probably go crazy. But so you can get a different breakfast every day, and then lunch and dinner is not included, and we do that on purpose because there's so many different food options. Get out there and see that
Exactly.
town,
Yeah.
I mean, we got 2 restaurants on site, eat at Joe's and El Vaquero, and a lot of great food. So you'll end up eating some meals at the surf camp. And we also have some great craft beer. And that's like,
There we go.
that was what was missing when I
Right,
came here
right.
many years ago. And for years I was like, man, Costa Rica's perfect, except the asterisk was the beer.
Yeah.
Because I'm a beer guy. I got to have my beer, especially my hoppy beers.
I like sweets, so we got the coffee shop too for like the chocolate croissant and
Yeah.
the cinnamon rolls.
Soon
so
to have an
there's
ice
everything.
cream.
Oh, yeah, the soft serve.
Yeah,
oh,
soft-
You weren't supposed to tell anyone as a secret.
Just
kidding,
Oh.
you
I'll
can
beep-
cut that out.
I'll beep it out. No, it's okay. You heard it here first on the Get Out and Surf podcast. No, well, I think you ladies have painted this picture. I want to go on vacation to here, and I guess I'm already here.
Can I go with a vacation at home?
Yeah, well, it's staycation.
Staycation.
Yeah, no, I think we kind of covered all the bases. Is there anything else anyone needs to know about Tamarindo?
Questions that you shouldn't ask, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, really, everything's on the table here.
We get
have some.
like some pretty odd questions in our
What's the weir-
office.
What's the weirdest question?
The
you ever-
weirdest question is definitely, I would say, a guy asking if we could put a spell on his girlfriend because he thought we were a witches camp. He
Okay.
probably just Google searched like, witches, and our place showed up, so he
Okay,
contacted us.
so we don't do spells.
We do not do spells. No,
All
not
right.
yet.
All
Not
right,
yet.
Julie, what else? What is there?
People have asked like, do I need to get on a plane? So yes,
Do you need a passport?
most
Yeah.
likely
Yeah.
yes, you need a passport.
I'm not sure.
Where are
if I
you
should-
located on the island?
Oh yeah, we're not an island.
We're not an island.
This is not
Yeah.
Puerto Rico. You do
are.
need a passport just in case.
And a really important one, people say that they snowboard or wakeboarding behind the boat, right?
Skateboarding.
Skateboarding. So they ask, should I just go to the intermediate program right away?
Because they've never surfed before, but they
Right,
can
right.
ride
Or
a
they've
snowboard.
surfed like in a wave pool, but like we tried to explain, it's very different. Like you have the force of the waves coming towards
That's
you.
actually a good point because they made that movie North Shore with Rick Kane back in
Right.
the day. He learns to surf in a wave pool and goes to the North Shore of Hawaii. And I'd always joke about like, I mean, well, it was a joke.
Right.
But the fact is that we now have people that have only surfed in a wave pool that have never surfed in the ocean. So,
Right.
wow.
Right.
I didn't think about that.
But also, it's not like we're underestimating you about your skills.
No.
It's just that we have different levels in beginner. There's people that have never surfed in their lifetime. That's okay. We have the novice program for them. Then if you already know how to pop up, but you're like still learning how to read a wave, you still need help to go into the to get out.
To the green
Yeah.
waves.
Exactly. Like there's different levels in the beginner, so that's okay. We
Yeah.
just try to be honest and put you in the right
Sure,
level
and
for
there's a
you.
lot of things that actually you get taught that it isn't even in the water, having to do with the surfing etiquette and safety. At the very beginning, there's a few things that we teach you at Witches Rock that set you up to like good habits that if you adopt them early on, are going to be game changers for you. And so even if you have been out a few times surfing, that beginner program is a great place to start. And if you come down and you find that you're totally you're unchallenged and you're beyond that, then we can make adjustments accordingly. But I mean, we could probably talk all day, and there's probably a zillion questions. But you could always just give us a call too, right?
Yep.
So what's the best way?
Here.
So
Call us toll free, 1-888-318-surf 7873, or
We're
live
always
chat.
open.
You can pretty much get us 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. Costa Rica time. Weekends a little bit less, but we are available. So whenever you need anything, give us a call.
it's not the kind of place where you send an email and then like 5 days later you get a response. Like,
No. If you don't get a response right away from us and a phone call, then check your spam. We're there.
good to know.
Yes, yes.
Well, I appreciate three of you making time out of
Yeah,
your
thanks
busy
for having
schedule.
us.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else we need to go over here?
I wanted to just quickly say something since I've been here for so long, 15 years, and you just made me do something that was totally my fear. And I'm on a bit of like a personal growth thing, and I'm trying to face stuff like that. I just wanted to say thanks to you and Holly. You guys definitely allowed me to make Costa Rica my home. And it was because of you guys that I chose to stay, and you can cut this out after if you'd like.
Not
but
at all. You give me goosebumps.
it was because of you guys that I was able to actually stay here and start my family and grow and be successful, honestly.
And what a
So,
beautiful family you have, Shauna.
Thank you. You
And
guys too.
that's
It's been
like-
pretty amazing.
Wow. See, look at that. I'm getting goosebumps all over. You know what? You've done amazing things for us. It works both ways.
Exactly.
I mean, we're thankful for you so much. We're thankful for all of you. Really, this we're a team in this. You're each doing your roles to help Witches Rock as a whole do what, I mean, I would have never thought was possible.
Right.
I mean, for those that don't know, I drove down here in a school bus.
Exactly.
You know, and that was home
Yeah.
before the surf camp. And what started as a bit of a big dream has turned into complete reality. And the future's unscripted. And it's because of everyone's involvement and
You're definitely an example to all of us.
Yeah.
Like, that's a dream for
You and
everyone.
Yeah.
I hope I will never get fired because I've never been to a job interview. This has been my only job ever. So,
And the friendships that we've been in connections we've been able to have like amongst ourselves as well. I mean, when I started, it was me, Maxie, maybe there was 15 of us, and now we're over 130. But it doesn't feel like that because we still have a really deep connection with everyone that we work with. So it's a pretty special place.
well, we feel very special and honored to have each of you on the team. And I'm you know what? You were like telling me how like nervous you were to be on this podcast before we did it, and like you were just talking the whole time. You didn't let me get a word in.
I was like, hey guys, stop. It's all about me.
No.
I knew it.
well, cool. All right.
Thanks.
Well, have a great rest of the weekend.
You too.
See you in the water, everyone.
Yeah.
Pura vida.
Pura vida.
Thanks for listening to the Get Out and Surf podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Witches Rock Surf Camp, located beachfront in Tamarindo, Costa Rica. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to the show. You can do that on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc. And if you like the show, give us a review on iTunes. That would be great. That's it. We'll see you next week, same place, same time, with another episode of Get Out and Surf. Pura vida y nos vemos.